It's time to prime.
Guys, it doesn't roll.
Well, almost. I still have to get the third coat done and to get everything sanded.
Well, the ceiling's done.
And ready to go for priming, painting, all the things.
I'm hours away from being able to start my third and final coat, but I forgot I haven't done the second coat around my corner bead. I'm basically filling the whole thing in and trying to make the mud as consistent as possible, but knowing that it's not my third coat and it doesn't have to be perfect.
Tricky part where you start hitting things.
And if you're new here, I'm building my dream home and homestead, learning all new trades along the way and seeing the whole project through, which meant I decided to mud my house. If you could smash the like button, that would be a huge help, and if you want to follow along, hit subscribe.
First things first, let's knock down some tooling marks or tooling edges. Doing a quick sand and getting those edges off
Just makes for a much easier third coat, especially on those butt joints. And even though I feathered all of the edges of my second coats, quickly knocking any of those edges down that might need to be knocked down will make for an easier third coat. Again, not necessary, but helpful.
All right, Uncle Mike is en route. He will be here shortly. I'm gonna do the first butt joint of the day. This one goes behind the couch, so I feel okay about it. And I saw something on YouTube Shorts the other day that I wanted to try out. And I'm gonna use this guy. I feel like more could be taken off. It makes all these lines. I don't know if I'm happy with that. And I guess it gets sanded down. Oh, I think he's here.
Hello!
So we have Uncle Mike back, and we're gonna do screws and basically start off in like the corners, let that side dry, work on the opposite flat so you're not like overlapping the wet mud. So we're gonna just plug away. So this is why it's important to kind of check and see how much light is showing through first. This is a butt joint, and so traditionally you do a 12 and a 12 on either side, but I've noticed that there's like a ton of light showing through, and so I can kind of just like fill this in, and it's almost as if it's a flat joint the way the sunlight comes through. So I'm quite happy with that, especially since this is like the most noticeable butt joint in the entire house. Nothing is like covering this. The TV's not here. There's no like couch, obviously. I almost wonder if I'm gonna need to just go over it one more time. It's bubbly and stuff. And I think it's just because with this one, I'm filling in that center a bit more.
And there's probably quite a bit that's going in there.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it's best just to leave it
Yeah.
instead of playing it with it too much, and then it.
And you're adding more mud and you're spending like 20 minutes on a joint.
Yeah, quick sand and then a quick skim over it, and
Okay.
should be good.
If you didn't watch my first drywall video, Uncle Mike came and helped me learn how to tape on that first day, taught me different techniques with the knives, and it was really helpful. I am now on day 14, so it's taken me a while, 12 days by myself since then. What's nice about today is that although I can ask my Uncle Mike questions and make sure I'm doing things right, we're both kind of working at our own pace and doing our own thing, which is exciting because I feel like I've come a long way in order for us to be able to just both be mudding today.
So I did this corner and this corner, so now I can do the flat. And this is the finishing coat for the flat, which is exciting. See where we're at with sunlight. There's only a little bit to fill, which is perfect. And then this spot is being treated like a butt joint because it was a little bit fussy. What I really appreciate about doing this build is that not every day looks the same for me. Even with mudding, we're going from taping to second coat to third coat to sanding. And all of those are different tasks. But on a grander scale, I love that I've been able to go from electrical to plumbing to insulation to vapor barrier to boarding and trying all of these different tasks out. It keeps my mind sharp because I'm always learning something new. And I think that's why this kind of work works for people, because it keeps their busy brains really active. Each home is a different challenge and task. But I've also learned a lot about people in the trades over the last few years and the challenges they face, like exhaustion, overwork, and overwhelm. And it's really hard to treat your body well when you're in that state. And people start drinking afternoon coffees, which keep them awake at night, or energy drinks, which isn't long-lasting, beneficial fuel for the body. I'm really trying hard to eat healthy, get more protein into me, eat less sugar, and fuel my body with nutrients. Which is why I think AG1 is a great fit for myself and for so many of you. And yes, this is a sponsored video, but I absolutely love AG1. It's one of my favorite drinks out there, and it's not just a greens drink. It's got superfoods, vitamins and minerals, and pre and probiotics, which is great for your metabolism and for gut health. Not only does it taste freaking delicious, I truly find that it helps with that momentum for the rest of my workday. Right now, the schools are cesspools, so many people are getting sick. It contains your daily dose of antioxidants, the functional mushrooms, and the probiotics, which does support your immune system. And right now, you can use my link in the description or scan the QR code to get $20 off your first subscription of AG1. And when you purchase the AG1 welcome kit, every new customer using my link gets $75 worth of freebies in your order. So you're basically buying this bag. You get the bottle with it, the AG D3 and K2 dropper with it, the AG1 canister and scoop with it, and 5 free travel packs. Make sure if you're gonna buy it, use my link, because that directly supports my channel. It's a huge help. Now I got that energy for mudding, let's get back to it.
So do you kind of want it to like shrink back to flat?
Yeah, so having it a little proud is okay, because when you sand it too,
Yeah.
it'll take off that.
Some of it, yeah. So if I see any light coming through, then I should add more mud,
You
basically.
can fill that in a bit more, yeah.
You want to take a look quick? So is that okay?
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine. Yeah.
This spot, there's a tiny bit of
A
light.
little bit I wouldn't
You wouldn't
get
fuss
too-
with it? Okay.
I don't think that's something you'll ever notice.
Okay, cool. Don't get too picky. I can see why electricians and drywallers don't like each other.
No, you kind of boxes with mud.
Yeah. Because, like, you want to get a good pass.
Yeah, and it cleans out really easy when it's dry.
Yeah. Electricians need to try drywall. So they stop getting mad.
And just like the second coat, for the third coat, we apply, smooth it out, feather the edges. Feathering the edges of the mud makes for a smoother and cleaner transition between the mud to the drywall, and then do a final pass. Today we only have one 12-inch knife, so while I'm doing the flats, Uncle Mike is doing the screws with a 6-inch knife, and we're basically passing back and forth and trading jobs where someone can use the 12-inch knife, the other one can do the corners, and I'd say we're making a pretty good team.
It still will need.
Still needs another layer,
Yeah, in
right?
some spots it's deeper than others, but I think it's better to do light than
Glob it up.
at least
Yeah.
for it to dry too.
Okay, true.
Well, we've done so much mudding at this point. It's kind of hard to like show the same thing over and over again, but we got a lot done today. He said hi.
Yeah, we accomplished a lot.
We did. So thank you so much for coming back up, and I feel confident I can get the rest done and sanded for priming on Monday.
Sounds good.
I'm so grateful Uncle Mike came to help today. If you don't mind giving him a huge thanks in the comments.
Over the next few days, I rinsed and repeated, getting the other sides of the corners and getting the flats that weren't able to be done because other mud was still wet, getting the third coat up on the cathedral ceiling, and getting everything ready for sanding. So far, I really enjoy this process. I know a lot of you said to skip it, but I'm really glad I decided to save the money here and learn how to do the drywalling, and hopefully I don't have big regrets down the road. I love that you can barely see the butt joints. It's definitely looking better than I thought. Wow.
but all of the main coats are done. And as you can tell, I've started sanding. I wasn't sure if I was gonna need a fourth coat or not up on this cathedral ceiling. I was getting a little bit picky while I was up here yesterday, but it's pretty flat, pretty much everywhere. I forgot to do the third coat of screws up here, so I'm getting the third coat of screws done. I'm sanding my taped seams and basically just fixing anything up that needs to be fixed up on those seams. And then I'm gonna make another pass back with a wet sponge over pretty much everything. I have this foamed back sandpaper. It's 180 grit, and I've scraped it using my knife to kind of make it a little bit less coarse. But the foam back was really recommended by the Drywall Shorty and the Vancouver Carpenter, which are my go-tos for everything to do with drywalling.
And you might be wondering, why in the heck did I not get an electric sander with a vacuum? And honestly, it had everything to do with decision fatigue. I couldn't figure out which one to buy, and I had to order it online because no one sells it locally. And so I ended up running out of time, and my Uncle Mike had his pole sander. He said that's all he used when he did mudding 10 years ago. And so I just thought, you know what, let's save the $300-400 and just get it done.
Oh my gosh. Oh. Well, the ceiling's done. I need water. I'm thirsty. That's a little bit better. It looks so good in here though. Like, I am so happy I decided to do this. Okay, on to the walls. I pretty much have everything done on the walls. There's a few spots that I can see that I'm like, okay, I am gonna have to touch it up a little bit.
And of course, I'm using a light to check for any imperfections, but honestly, this room is so stinking bright that it's really not showing all that much more. It'll come in more handy in the smaller rooms that don't get as much light. After going over and doing a sand, I needed to do the top coat of the off angles one more time and skim coat a few more spots that had some bubbles and scratches, getting that much closer to being able to prime.
All right, it's the next day. Pretty much almost everything is sanded except for the off angles that I mudded last night. Anyways, I'm gonna work on corners. I got this handy dandy corner to go on a post, but it doesn't work on mine. So I'm just gonna use it by hand. I actually don't have a ton of corners, so I know it's gonna take me a bit longer, but oh well. And I also have this one as well for fine little details. I ripped this back corner off because it has a little raised edge. The Vancouver Carpenter recommend this because that little raised edge can cause a line like, you know, this many inches from your corner. So I have to say, I am pretty happy with my corners. I feel like I did a good job. There's not a lot of sanding that needs to be done. And it's official. We're priming tomorrow. I'm pretty much done all the sanding. I do have to finish sanding the top 3 rows of the screws up there, unfortunately. But there's a few things that I'm noticing that I really do need to fix.
Like this darn nail pop, which is technically a screw pop. Anyways, I have to take out the screw and repair that.
I'm gonna try to leave most like dings or like scratches to after priming, like this scratching here. But I got a really good thick primer for these sections where I'm noticing a lot of the scratching. And I was pressing light. I was like going on an angle to try to minimize the scratching. And there's just so much sunlight that happens in this room. So we'll see how it goes.
When I was sanding with the pole, I was so far away from seeing any dings or scratches. And so now when I'm doing the angles and off angles, I'm really up close and personal. And I see a few dings, but because things are sanded, you really don't want to spot touch up any of those dings with mud until after you prime. And that's because you're creating a different consistency, and it's going to be really hard to sand out those patches to be consistent with the sanding that you've already done. And now that everything is officially sanded, I'm wiping everything down with a super damp sponge, wiping down any of the dust before priming.
Good morning. It is priming day. And it's nearly time to start priming, but I still haven't gotten the dust control down perfectly. I've wiped all of the walls. That was my plan of attack for this building. Just a very, very slightly damp sponge. I swept the floor, but I haven't like vacuumed or mopped or anything. So I'm gonna do that this morning. All right, I'm gonna go around and get in the outlets, get around the edges at least. I think the drywall dust is just coming out of the back of this. I couldn't find like a drywall vacuum filter. Okay, I'm just gonna get the outlets. I really have to figure out where I can find a drywall filter for that vacuum because whew, it is crazy in here. There's drywall dust in the air. I have the doors open trying to get it out. This is crazy. The mopping was actually a suggestion by one of the commenters that I thought was really smart. Let's see how it works. Okay, obviously concrete's super porous, so this might take me a bit. It's time to prime. I'm so excited. So I'm actually gonna start with rolling instead of cutting. Everyone has their preference, but from what I see, rolling is easier first because when you go to do the brushing of the corners, you can like feather it a little bit more easily, make that transition a little bit more seamless. And I'm gonna start in the pantry. All right, first up, we have Benjamin Moore's drywall primer. It got, shaken a few days ago, but giving it a good little mix will help. Canadian made. Should have had my brush ready. And into the bag it goes. I'm starting with a 15 mil microfiber. 15 millimeter will give you more texture on your primer coat. This makes things nicer for when you go to do a sand after your primer coat. And of course, an extension pole. So look, we can get all the way up top, but this is like tight. I don't know why the roller is barely rolling. Hopefully that doesn't become too big of a pain. And time to get it soaked. All right, y'all. This roller brush sucks butt. What is going on? It barely rolls. Okay, we're gonna try this out, but I might need a new handle because it's not really rolling very well. But this is saturated. This might be a little bit long. Guys, it doesn't roll. I'm gonna have to return this. What a waste. What the heck? Why doesn't this spin? Like, this can't be normal to like have to put a lot of pressure on this to spin. This sucks. Time to go to town, I guess.
That's how they should work. Not like this. Honestly, I think I just got a stiff one because these ones, the same one is working just fine. I just got a faulty one.
So, although I'm very annoyed with myself, I at least learned something. And this is pretty cool. I feel like that's pretty nice. Oh my gosh. Imagine I tried to keep going with that roller. Okay, it is time to do some walls. This is probably dry above me now. And I don't know how good of a job I did on that because literally that was just terrible. Apparently the drywall really soaks the paint in, so your rolls aren't gonna get very far. I'm gonna put pressure on this side as I roll that way. Oh, okay. Okay, this twisty portion might actually be annoying. And then I went to go put the post on it and make it shorter, and I realized there's no screw at the back in order to do that. So I'm stuck with this for the day, which means I can't do the cathedral ceiling. Oh, I'm so annoyed with myself right now. I need to pay more attention when I'm buying things.
It's definitely true that you see a little bit more of the dings or scratches once you get that primer on. I'm not sure why, but it works. As I'm going along, I'm making sure to back roll. This provides a consistent paint texture and spreads it out a lot more evenly.
So far, this is pretty straightforward. I don't need to paint this pantry. It's funny how I'm painting it all, but I mean, it's okay. We're gonna have cabinetry in here. Anyways, I'm gonna do the next room, which is the entryway. This is pretty straightforward so far. I am bummed that I don't have like the twist handle to be able to put the extension pole on it. I think maybe I'll see if one of my neighbors has one. Oh, I just got a text from one of my neighbors who built down the way, and he's gonna bring by one of his roller cages that has the like threaded portion at the end. So I'm so thankful for incredible neighbors. Whoa, I'm seeing lots of inconsistencies over here that I missed. Dang it. That's okay. We'll touch that up. A lot of it will be covered by the trim that's going over the door. This is so cool. Oh my goodness. Wow. Oh wow. It's gonna be a huge transformation in the living room. That is for sure. So for these walls, I bought a little bit more of an expensive product that I've never used before. Actually, I've never even used drywall primer before. On these walls, there's a lot of like sideways hitting indirect sunlight that really shows a lot of the imperfections and like the kind of scratches when it comes to sanding. It's like only when you're up close, but it's a living room, and I was like, may as well just go with a little bit more of an expensive product. Used for new drywall, composition board, cured plaster. Provides a uniform surface by addressing the various porosities between drywall and paper and joint compound. I'm really curious to see the difference between the two primers. Awesome. I'm so happy. This is nuts. This is going by so quickly too because there's barely any wall space in here. This is so much quicker than mudding. What I learned from my Uncle Mike is that often the tapers will do the priming as well so that they can go in and fix things up. And so it's really cool being able to take this process all the way through, like literally all the way through from the beginning, learning all these trades. All right, the two main walls are done in here. It's looking good, like I'm impressed. I think in some lights you can see where the mud is. Oh yeah, you can totally see it on the camera here, more than you can see it with your naked eye. So that's okay though, like I think that's pretty common and normal. What I don't wanna see is like a really bad mud job. So I don't know if I'll need a second coat of primer or not, but what I am going to do now is try to tackle the cathedral ceiling now that I have the proper paint roller. Between those two, this paint's a lot stinkier. Between those two walls, I went through basically 2 trays of paint. So I think I am going through a little bit more, but honestly, hard to say. It's going a lot further than I thought it would. I think it is a slightly better product. All right, this should be interesting. So this expands up to 12 feet, which is more than enough. I don't know how I'm gonna do this though, because, okay, this reaches and then that goes all the way up. I'm so nervous. Yikes, okay, I'm so nervous.
And a huge thank you to my neighbor for dropping off a handle that had a thread on it so I could use this post and get to the cathedral ceiling today.
It's hard when I can't really see what I'm doing up there. Jeez. You know what? It's better than scaffolding. I'm so glad these posts exist. Oh my gosh. It's still wet, so it doesn't look like great, but what a difference. I've been so looking forward to this moment. It's wild. Just wild. And now it's time for the corners. Some people like the roll first, and some people like to do the brushing first. From what I could see, the benefit of doing the brushing after you do the rolling is that you can feather it, just like with drywalling. You feather your edges with drywalling, you're gonna feather your edges with your painting. The first coat of primer is officially done. Well, for the first half of the house, that is. I only have time for primer this week, but I wanted to get all of the primer done so you could see a fresh, bright, and beautiful space. I still have to fix any scratches, touch it up with mud, reprime the area, sand, and wipe everything down before we get to the next coat. Stay tuned for more progress. And thanks for being patient with me, because I'm not able to do what the other YouTube channels can do, where they can do the entire house of mudding in one video or the entire house painted in one video. I'm working with what I've got, which is just me typically. And so it's a little bit more slow moving, but I don't know, maybe you like it. All right guys, thanks so much, and I will see you next week.